This is Daniel Smith, and welcome to Jets Guru.
Check it out.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here is Daniel Smith.
What is going on? What is going on, Jets Guru fans? Coming in at 9 p.m. Eastern time with the lateness, giving you something special. You think you could get rid of me like it was that easy? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter what I do. I come out ready to go, ready to talk about the Jets each and every Thursday night with you guys, with Ramon, with Krista, who can't make it today. And what you see next to Ramon's name, that @GuruJets, don't sleep on that name, okay? That is our Twitter name. So get on there. Ramon mostly runs that. I go on there to do like foolishness and go do whatever I want. Ramon's actually working on the Jets Guru page. And we're trying to get the Instagram popping too. We got a nice little following over there. We're going to find a way to get the live videos on Instagram so we could stream and bring our base over there as well. I think that's really important. And then obviously we're on YouTube, guys. So, jump on our YouTube channel on Jets Guru, give us the feed, the bump up. It really helps. But listen, let's start talking about some stuff real quick. Let's just get into it, right? Let's have a little fun tonight. We've been all uptight as New York Jet fans talking about Sam Darnold, the quarterback situation for weeks now. Last week I was really good and I didn't kill Sam and I didn't get crazy or anything like that. So you guys can't throw that on me, right? And so this week we're going to do a little bit more of the same. We've went through these position groups over since the offseason has started, and going through those, I think it's really important because you get to see what you have, what's out there in the draft, and what's out there in free agency. It's really nice to look at a list and say, okay, well, the Jets should get this guy and the Jets should get that guy. And in reality, the Jets may not have a shot at getting any of these guys, and so that's why I like doing the offseason breakdown that we've been doing, because we give you a couple more names, out there, just like we spoke about on the edge rushers and the defensive line out of free agency. Like, there's some people to be had from the 49ers that we're expecting Saleh to bring over, Ronald Blair, we were talking about those guys, and it's a possibility that the Jets could steal 4, maybe even 5 guys. You never know how this is going to work out. They like to bring their people over. And so when you go through that, when you go through the names and you go through the episodes that we do, the running back situation, that's going to be really important to the New York Jets. I don't know where the Jets are going to go with it. I heard reports about Aaron Jones. I'm like, dude, Aaron Jones ain't coming to the Jets unless you're overpaying him. Right. And I don't think Joe Douglas is trying to overpay running back right now. Right. So we spoke about Etienne. We spoke about Harris. We actually were the first ones that were talking about Javonte Williams from North Carolina when nobody else was talking about him. We're the ones that included him on that list. Right. Y'all weren't talking about him. Right. You talking about him now. Right. So that's what we like to do because, you guys are working hard out there. And so we're trying to provide some fan content for you that's a little bit above than the rest that you're getting, better than the memes, better than all the bull crap and the back and forth arguments that you see. And we just want to talk Jets football, and we want to talk situations, right? Because we're fans. We're always thinking about that stuff in our head, right? So I think that's important too. So with that being said, what is your guys' and gals, what is your dream offseason for the New York Jets? Like, looking at how this is going to go, I think we can all say right now, at least in the beginning, we should mostly be happy I think 90% of the Jets fan base should be happy right now because we can't say Saleh's a bad coach. We can't say LaFleur's offense sucks. We can't say any of this type of stuff. And the reason why is because they haven't done anything yet. So we're going based off of word of mouth. We're going on based off we trust Joe Douglas, right? Because he's been doing all right. And so we go, okay, we trust it. So I'm here to say the same thing. I'm here to trust it as well. I'm going to trust the process. But in that process, they got some big moves up. Crowder was one of them. We spoke about it last week. Does Crowder stay? What pieces are coming, what pieces are going. A lot of people want us to still draft Sewell, and move the big man Becton over to the right side, even though we just see what's going on with Mr. Brown and the Ravens over there, where, he possibly has to move to the right side. And he's like, no, I'm sorry. And just knowing Becton's personality, just from the outside looking in, because I don't know these people, okay? From the outside looking in, I don't think Mekhi Becton is going to be too keen on moving to the right side. Just my personal opinion, based on the type of person that he comes off as. He seems like he's very talented. He knows he's good. And you got to factor in that he plays for the New York Jets, okay? Let's be real here. He was like the third best tackle coming out of the draft, right? And he plays for the New York Jets, who had one of the worst offenses in the league, who had a quarterback that was regressing and a head coach that couldn't do anything. The ball was held too long. The ball wasn't ran on his side, not nearly as much as it should have been. And he actually verbally said that. And like coach was like just laughing it up. Like he's like telling me, oh, run it to my side. Ha, ha, ha. It's like, no, he's like telling you like run it to his side. And we don't know if a guy's injury prone. Or how is he injury prone? How is a guy injury prone who's played one season? Everyone used to say Marcus May was injury prone too because he was in and out of a few games early in his career. The last 2 years, he's been solid. What are we talking about? Like injury prone is someone that gets injured every single year and is kind of constantly out of the game.
Sam Darnold?
Yeah. Here's the thing, man. Even with this injury prone stuff, right? It's like these guys get hurt all the damn time. These guys are so physical. They get hurt all the time. Like, it just seems like there's always people missing games, right? Like, it seems like it's very rare to go through, and we go through these a lot for Jets Guru because we got to cover the games. And I'm looking at who's starting and who's not. And there's just like a list full of people each and every game from both sides of the football and from both teams that are injured. So I think we got to like put the fact that he was injured in a few games this year out of the window as far as being injury prone, when the fact that when he did play, he looked like a monster. He looked like the only competent offensive lineman for most of the season until F-Line came over. Then he helped out. And then you had Fan on the right side who was doing okay. But a lot of people want it. Some people think, hey, right tackle, let's get to. So there's a lot that can go on. So what is your dream scenario? Is it Watson? Is it Darnold? Is it Najee Harris? Is it Aaron Jones? Is it Mike Davis? Is it Robinson? Is it Galladay? What is your dream scenario? And I guess we'll start with Ramon.
My dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
My dream. My dream is it would be if. The biggest dream would be if Sam Darnold could actually work out and we didn't have to actually go back and get a quarterback. That would be the dream. I do know that is not the most realistic scenario, even though we're talking about dreaming. So I would say I'll take Fields or Wilson. I'll take either one. I do like Fields' deep ball accuracy, so obviously we're going to go quarterback first. Cool. I would say I like the offensive lineman from New England. If we could pick him up, we can get some protection back there for whoever is going to be throwing it. Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin would be awesome. I would like to have them both and just stack it up. At running back, Najee Harris, obviously, the guy we've been talking about for a while. Another dream is Marcus May getting tagged or we somehow restructuring his contract or a new contract for him or something like that. Those are the biggest ones the biggest things that I think of when I think of my dream scenario. So that's all I really got.
For me, I mean, listen, the Jets have to attack the inside of this offensive line. I think that this is going to be really, really important to what the Jets are trying to do. And McGovern just wasn't good enough. And, you could slide him to the guard position if you want. I don't know how it works out. But I think the Jets should attack. And one of the ways that they should attack is with the Packers. The Packers have a big decision to make. When you watch Aaron Rodgers and you think, oh, MVP season. Yeah, he had an MVP season, all right, but you also got to look at how they were able to run the ball later on in his career here, and especially with Aaron Jones, which allows you to do play action, which allows, linebackers to have to creep up and create more one-on-one situations over the middle, more deep situations on the outside. Everything is connected within football, which is why it's a complete team game. And I just think that I don't know if the tag is on the board for him, but they also have a center in Tinsley who I think would be great switching from one green to the other green. He paid about, I think, 71% of the snaps, something like that. He made $8.5 million. He's 30. He's 30 years old. So this would be like probably a 3-year deal, something like that. But he is a very good center, and he's very key to this offensive line. And it's going to be interesting to see how Green Bay plays this, not only with their quarterback, but with their offensive line and their running back duo, because it's a huge hole, right? I mean, right up the middle, you're talking about running back center. You got 2 huge holes, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to bring both of them back. And so the Jets need to take a look at both of them, both Aaron Jones and take a look at Tinsley, because I just think you got to get better play from that center position, especially if you're going to draft a rookie quarterback. I mean, listen, the Jets can have a pretty decent line here in the offseason for a rookie quarterback, and they can have a pretty decent line here for Sam Darnold too, going into the second year. I don't know. Everyone's like, F-line look good next to Becton. You might come to find out that a lot of people might look good next to Becton as the years move on, because he's just such a monster. And as he learns more technique, and I do agree with some people, he should lose a couple pound lbs there, not a ton, but just a few, just to take that stress off of, his muscle tissue and his bone structure as he continues to get, more developed as a player. But I mean, the center position to me is the most important. I really, after quarterback, you want to just get that locked down. And so I think Tinsley would be my dream situation there. Obviously at quarterback, if you guys have been listening, not the hugest Sam Darnold fan at this point. I'm really big on quarterbacks in their third year taking that next step as a player. And I know it was really bad with the play calling and the weapons. But again, I think this was a perfect year for evaluation for Sam Darnold. And the reason why I say it like that is because there's, usually you have a guy like Sam Darnold on the roster, and the drop off from him to the next guy is so huge that, like, you'll never see the backup quarterback come in and make the starter look bad. Usually it's rare when you see that. Well, you had a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a veteran who could throw the ball down the field, who was your backup. And everybody cried to me about how the reason why Sam Darnold was struggling was because he didn't have any weapons, and that everybody was hurt. And that is the reason why he wasn't performing. This is what they were saying at the time, right? And I don't think anybody will dispute me on that. Well, those weapons came back. Joe Flacco got to perform with them. And he did pretty well. And one person in particular really stood out to me from the wide receiving core, and that was Brashard Perryman, because Brashard Perryman was brought here for one thing and one thing only, and that was to stretch the field and get those deep balls down the field. We didn't get a chance to see that from Perryman with Darnold because Darnold just didn't do it. And there was opportunities to do so. He missed them, not only in his reading, but actually his throwing the football. And we realized that, okay, if he's not better than a quarterback that's on the back end of his career, who's not the starter and who just started getting starter reps, if he's not better than that guy at throwing the deep ball, then when is he going to be better than him at throwing the deep ball, or a guy like that? And I think you run into it and you just say, I just don't think it's there. I think there's a ceiling with Sam Darnold. Now, I could see Sam Darnold being successful, very successful, with a certain type of running game and a certain type of offense with certain type of receivers. But I don't know if that's the type of offense that Joe Douglas wants to bring to this team. I don't think he wants this offense to struggle along. Every time I hear Joe Douglas, he's talking about being an explosive offense that's comparable to what the NFL is supposed to offer these days. And what we see these big teams that do get to the NFL, to get to the finals, what they actually are. And so I think in my dream scenario, Sam Darnold would be gone. Like Ramon, I also agree that I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that Sam Darnold was lights out and you're going, man, I just can't wait till they get a new coach. Now, some people feel that way. Me personally, I have not seen enough to be that excited about getting stuff around him. To me, he has to prove everything, which makes the decision even tougher for me, because to have a fourth-year quarterback with a whole new staff, with fan expectations, all eyes looking at this kid saying, okay, well, you're in your fourth year. What do you got for me? Because he's not going to get the same pass that a rookie quarterback is, and he's certainly not going to get the same pass as a star quarterback would in his first venture here with the New York Jets. And so it's just a lot. And a lot of it is our fault. And we have to admit that as Jet fans, that no matter how you feel about Sam Darnold, that this organization, once again, did not do everything in its power to get him where he needed to be. The Jets were so concerned with finding an offensive guru to take this team to the next level that what they didn't realize is they just needed a person to come up with an offense for their quarterback and his skill set and what he does best. And even if the best that Sam Darnold could ever hope to be, okay, Tony Romo said Darnold would be the face in the NFL in 5 years. Well, you like the skill set, right? You like some of the things that he does possess. But now seeing it on the pro level, I think you could see the limitations in what he can do and what this game is actually becoming. And so I think he could be a winner, but everything has to be tailored for him. And I just think that would be better served in another organization where he could start anew without the expectations, and not just that, let's be honest with ourselves, guys. Come on, seriously, let's be honest here. If we were betting people and your life was on the line and you had to make a decision, right, based on this, and you can use any analytics you want, you can use common sense, you can use luck, you can use whatever determination you want to find out, is Sam Darnold, if you were a betting man, you had to put your life on it, is he going to become a top 10 quarterback or not? And right now, I'm not saying, because we cannot predict the future. So for people saying, oh, well, he's going to be good once he leaves the Jets, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? Because unless you're Lady Cleo, and if you are, let me know, because we need to hook up with each other, because I got some numbers I need to run by you, and we need to know if they're popping or not, because I'm trying to get up on this cash bag, all right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. So you can only go based off of what the information that you have been receiving shows you. And the information and hopes and dreams are great, but the information that shows you is he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, okay? He's been one of the worst. And yes, the NFL is a team game. And yes, it absolutely matters. But you're not seeing the individual progression. It's funny how when a quarterback plays well, it's all about the quarterback. But when the quarterback struggles, it's the coach. Well, there's something to be said, too, about the quarterback coming to the coach and not understanding the offense. Maybe there's limitations on this guy. Have we ever thought about that? Is it a possibility? Because I've seen a lot of NFL players with more talent than Sam Darnold and have failed. So we need to be honest in our assessment here. Let's be realistic. Until this kid shows us more, we are not going to be bullish on him. We just aren't. We're not going to jump and be like, he's going to be great. You don't know that, because all the information says that he's not. And all the information tells me is that we're going to see exactly what we've seen from a bunch of other teams around this league. Top 15 to top 20 performance. So 15 to 20, around that range is where I think Sam Darnold has a good shot at being right now.
Right. So you're not betting your life on that then?
I'm definitely not betting my life on that. And you know what? If they roll with it, this is the only way that I will accept it, is if they decide to choose Sam Darnold. It's not because I don't have a choice. Obviously, I'm not part of the team, right? But the reason why I come to that is because I really do think that Saleh has a tab on personalities. From everything that I've been able to read and get from information from people that speak about him and talk, he has a tab for personalities. And if the head coach doesn't feel like Sam Darnold fits the mold of what he wants this team to be moving forward. And if LaFleur, who, mind you, let's remember, he's the offensive guy here, not Saleh. Saleh is letting him run the show because he's a defensive guy and he's the head coach and he's got other things to do other than hold the hands of LaFleur everywhere that he goes. So LaFleur is calling the shots here. So I don't want another coaching group to be forced a player that they did not draft. And so if they feel that Darnold is the guy, then they have seen something in tape. They have seen something in the interviews and the conversations that they've had with Sam Darnold that make you feel like, okay, he could work in this offense. So if that's the case, and that is also because the owner has come out and said Joe is making the decision for coach, and everything seems like they're running things back like a regular organization should run things, that if they do decide it's Sam Darnold, I truly believe that Joe Douglas, Saleh, LaFleur, Woody Johnson, and Chris Johnson all had a play in it, and it wasn't just the owner at the top, or it wasn't just this guy trying to save face, that it was a real legit collective decision like, all right, it's time that we move on, unfortunately, from this kid. We're not saying he's going to be out of the league because I think Sam Darnold can have a future in this league for a long time. But who do we want to be in a competitive AFC football? When you're talking about quarterback after quarterback in the AFC, you're talking about Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, potentially Deshaun Watson. I mean, go through the list. Guess who's in the AFC now? Carson Wentz. You don't think, if I'm a betting man, if he is going to do good in any place and resurrect his career, don't you think it's going to be with the coach where he had his best numbers with? Of course it is. They're going to be doing the same damn things that they did in Philadelphia when Frank Reich was there. Only their offensive line is legit. And their running back, Jonathan Taylor, is legit. So there is a lot going on in the AFC. Joe Burrows, Herbert. I mean, I forget the cars. There's so many of them. Derek Carr. You people laugh. Go look at Derek Carr's numbers and tell me that he's way better than Sam Darnold. It's not even close, okay? It's not even close. Ryan Tannehill plays in the AFC. Tua plays in the AFC, okay? He's going to get better. Ryan Fitzpatrick might play in the AFC. He's better than Sam Darnold. He might start for a team. You never know, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is if you don't feel like his projection is going to be better than or on par with some of those guys, then you need to keep searching. Because what's going to happen is the Jets are going to find out that he isn't good enough to take him over the hump. And they're going to have to find a veteran quarterback as Saleh's defense begins to grow over the next 2 to 3 years. So my personal opinion is this. He is gone. Zach Wilson is in. The Jets take him at number 2. Okay? They go ahead and bring Tinsley over at center. Now, wide receiver, that is a big thing for me. And that's another discussion that we've had up and down the board, Ramon. So if you had to have those 3 receivers right now, that to not deviate, put them in place 1, 2, and 3 for me. Robinson, Schuster, I guess we could go Galladay, and then we'll go Samuels. In what order would you want them in for the Jets? Because me personally, obviously, it's Robinson if he doesn't get tagged.
Of course. Robinson. I would say Robinson,
yeah,
Robinson, Galladay, Samuels. I'm not a big fan of Juju. I was, right? I'm not even going to say I was. I think I listened to a lot of hype. I would see his highlights, but then when I actually watched him play, I'm just kind of like, And then he had the incident, the doing the dancing on the field. And like, I feel like we're getting away from things like that right now, especially over the last few years. You got Sheldon Richardson, who we had to get out of the locker room. We had to get Jamal Adams out of the locker room. You know, like I think we're moving past. Even Le'Veon Bell was a distraction when he was there with his rapping or whatever. But like, I think those are my three. Allen Robinson is a monster. Like I would put him at
Yeah,
1, 2,
man.
and 3. You know what I'm saying? If I had the chance. And my boy's in here. He's a Bears fan, so I know he gets upset when I talk about him leaving. But hey, man, your quarterback can't get him the ball. It's not our fault. But yeah, definitely. Those are my three. I want to say something on Sam Darnold real quick.
Mhm.
I think my biggest issue with Sam Darnold, and again, I'm a Sam Darnold fan, is that he's not even a leader. I've never one time seen him go back to the bench and talk to the team. I've never seen him one time where Marcus May recovers a pick, where Brian Poole recovers a pick, where Alston gets a good stuff and on fourth and 3. And or breaks up a pass. And I've never seen Sam Darnold rallying guys like, all right, let's go. You know, like let's get on the field. Or when he turns the ball over, he goes to a cornerback. Hey, give me that ball back. You know what I mean? Like we just don't see it. We've never seen it. I didn't see it in college. That's where I think his issue with Robert Saleh would be, because Saleh he wants a guy like Zach Wilson that's going to be animated on the sideline. He's going to be talking to his dude. You see Patrick Mahomes do it all the time. You see Brady do it all the time. You see Aaron Rodgers do it. The greatest quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, the greatest quarterbacks can do that. We're not even on the field yet. Before we get on the field, are we just sitting on the sideline? Sam, we see Sam, right? He sits on the sideline. He does this thing like this with his hair, and he's not even looking at a playbook. He's not even looking at he's not even not the playbook. He's not even looking at a tablet to see what's going on until the last 4 games of the year. You know what I mean? Which may not all be his fault, but it's been continuous. As a quarterback, you would think he would be the guy to be like, hey, give me a tablet. You know, like you can demand those things on the side.
Right.
You're the starting quarterback with a C on your chest. Tell him to give you the tablet. But that's my issue. His leadership skills are just like, I don't know. I seen in the offseason he took a couple guys out to eat and a couple training workouts, but none of that, man. But that's all I got on Sam Darnold. His leadership is not where I think Saleh is going to want it to be, especially not as a leader in the huddle.
Yeah, I mean, like when you look at him play, it's just you don't have any. I don't have confidence in his actual like how he performs, like his body language and how he throws the football, how he steps into the pot. I just don't like how he plays football anymore. I thought that there was a chance, in year one at times where they could have really taken advantage. And honestly, this doesn't even start with Adam Gase. In my opinion, this starts with Todd Bowles, and this gets swept under the rug because he's defensive coordinator at Tampa, and he's done a great job. And we've never questioned Todd Bowles' defensive acumen. And when he did play call for the Jets right before his end there for a couple games, the Jets defense played better. So we have it's not that with Bowles, but Bowles, I don't know if you would have to like jump inside his head, but it didn't make any sense for the Jets to go from Morton to Bates. And if you're going to get rid of Morton, at least go to someone that's, Bates was out of the league. Morton left Gruden as a wide receivers coach, and, Gruden let him go because he saw something there. And I liked the offense and how it was designed with Josh McCown. Like, honestly, with Robbie Anderson, and I just really liked it. And that team was awful. They sucked. And they were picked to win 1 game that year. And I think they won 5. And they saved Todd Bowles' job. And instead of growing and building upon that and saying, okay, we're going to keep Morton, we're going to bring in this new quarterback, and we're going to open up this offense, he said that they threw the ball too much, which was the only thing that saved that team because that defense was so damn lousy. It was the offense that actually saved that team and gave them some hope because they were able to score some points and at least be in the game until the mid-third quarter or something like that, until Josh McCown couldn't push you over the hump. He had a very good season, but couldn't push you over the hump, or the defense would give up a big play. And I just thought that that is the type of person that Sam Darnold needed, because he was a bit of a gunslinger in a sense where he did take a lot of chances. And I think you needed to get that out early. And right away, they tried to make Sam Darnold a game manager right off of rip. And to me, it goes against some of his nature. And the offense was terrible, and it was predictable, and it was boring. And I don't really think Sam Darnold learned anything from Jeremy Bates' offense. Wow. And then you go from Jeremy Bates' offense to Adam Gase's offense. It's just probably like going from like a Dr. Seuss book to like some kind of like science experiment. And that is why Sam Darnold asked Adam Gase if they can kind of switch some things up to make things a little bit more like absorbable as a quarterback when you're in your first year with him. And what happened? He did start to play a little bit better from there. The problem with Sam is that when the line really started to break down, I didn't see that fight. You know, what I saw was timid body mechanics that wind up breaking down as the season went on. And then something that was even more alarming to me that really started to highlight is his ability to read the defense. He really started to struggle. He really started to lock onto one receiver and not look off linebackers, not look off safeties. And it became a huge issue for this football team. And I'm like, they were super glaring. And this has nothing to do with your team being bad. There's other teams that have worse offensive lines than the Jets. There's other teams that have worse things than the Jets. But what I was seeing was a quarterback that was breaking down. And I just think that I think for Sam, the best thing for him would be to go to a team that has an established quarterback. Like, to be honest with you, Pittsburgh would be an excellent place for someone like Sam Darnold, because they can retain Big Ben. They could restructure his contract for one more year, right? And he could sit and learn and be a part of that Pittsburgh Steelers culture and like you said, Ramon, become a leader by watching a leader. You know, they threw Sam in, and listen, I was one of those people, and I was wrong. I wanted Sam to play right away. They should have played Teddy. They should have played these guys first and kind of worked his way in, because looking at the team wasn't very good, one. And two, that offense was just god awful. And it just set him up for failure walking into an Adam Gase offense. And then Adam Gase sparked the failure even more because he didn't do what he does best. Like, we know Lamar Jackson he's a good thrower of the ball. He's just not very accurate in placement of the ball, but he's actually a good thrower. I think if he could learn, he has a good arm. He has solid placement, but what he doesn't have is that deep ball accuracy that you need. He has a big arm, so he can get the ball where it needs to be. He has to work on his deep ball accuracy. But so you know what they do? They make it easy for him. They use his offensive ability with his legs. You know, they use run pass option. And then when he's in a pocket and he's playing well, they leave him there and they let him operate and throw from there. What it was one thing that we noticed is that every time the Jets did something well, they'd go back to doing something that they didn't do well. It's like sometimes when you do something well, you got to keep hammering it, let the other team stop you. And I think just when Sam Darnold did something well, we didn't go back to it. It's like, let's go back to it. Let's continue it. You know, let's continue it to failure if we have to. But he didn't do that. He didn't utilize Sam Darnold's ability to run on the outside and throw the ball. And then when he did, by the time it happened, it seemed like he wasn't even the same player. Like, that wasn't the same Sam Darnold that I saw even his rookie year. You know, it just seemed like it was a different guy. And you cannot run an offense on magical plays. Like, oh, Sam Darnold finally escapes and makes one or two throws a game. If you're going to be like that, it's got to be like Aaron Rodgers. It's got to be like Mahomes. It's got to be like Watson. It's got to be like Russell Wilson. It's got to be like Josh Allen. You got to succeed, because if you don't, we're starting to see the deficiencies. And so I think this kid needs time. Like somebody said in the chat, he's 23 years old. Okay, that's great, but that doesn't mean he needs to be playing for the New York Jets right now, because honestly, I don't think it's necessarily going to get too much better, because you got to look at this, right? How good are the Jets going to be next year? If they do everything perfectly, with how, and that we're talking about everything. Now, if they go and they make the playoffs next year, God bless the New York Jets. And that would be an absolutely amazing story to cover, and we'd be super excited. But realistically, this is a rebuilding team that has the number 2 pick. And let's be honest with ourselves. The Jets should really have the number 1 pick. Let's be honest here. I think we should. I think Jacksonville were a more consistent team throughout the year, even though they sucked, than the Jets were. When I watched them, they were a lot more competitive to me than the Jets were for most of the season, except towards the end.
They threw in the white towel by taking out the starters.
Yeah, absolutely. and so to me, in my personal opinion, how much better are the Jets going to be? So what are you talking about? A 5-win team? That's not going to be good for Sam Darnold. That's going to be awful for him. It's going to make his career sink even worse. So to me, get him out of here. Get him in a better situation. If Fields struggles, if Wilson struggles, like, we could deal with it as a rookie quarterback. But we can't have this guy suffering on the field in a new era where we're supposed to start clean. You know, and you can't just say, oh, well, we'll just get a new quarterback next year. The class is not the same. This is a better class, and you never want to be searching for a better class that's already 50-50. You have a guy in front of you. You don't know if you're going to be bad enough to get one of those best guys that are available next year. You have the cap space to absorb everything and put weapons around this young quarterback, because people say, well, why can't you just put weapons around Sam? Well, why can't you just put weapons around Wilson? It's the same thing. It's one pick. So it's like, okay, so that one pick is going to make Sam Darnold the best quarterback ever? No, it's going to be all the additional picks that the Jets make throughout the draft. And so I could say the same thing about Wilson. Okay, so draft Wilson at 2, and then the 23rd pick, then you get him a running back or a receiver or offensive lineman or a corner or whatever, and then you keep going from there. And then next year you have 2 first-rounders to put around Zach Wilson and company.
And that Seattle pick should be pretty good if they lose Russell Wilson.
Oh my gosh, son! You're talking about a New York Knicks situation. The New York Knicks have the Dallas Mavericks pick right now, and the Knicks might make the playoffs, and the Mavericks might be really bad, and all of a sudden the Knicks have a top pick, and they're a playoff team, which looks good to free agents. Look what the Dolphins did, fleecing people, dude, just fleecing people for what? For what? A safety, because he didn't want to overpay a safety. Yeah, the last Super Bowl piece, Jamal Adams. That's who he was. Get out of here. That's why I trust Joe Douglas, because he doesn't play that nonsense bull jive. He has a value for each position, and he's not going to go over that. And so, you know what? If they keep Sam Darnold, I trust it. If they don't, then I know exactly in my head the reasons why that they didn't want to go with him, and it's just only confirmed for me. Also, for pass rusher, you know, we talked about this with the Baltimore Ravens, because it could be a big issue for the Ravens and their cap the way it's going. But they got Matt Judon. They got Yannick Ngakoue. They can't keep all these guys. So somebody's got to go. The Jets got a really, really good shot here at fixing some really core needs. And if there was ever a time for the Jets to have $70 million plus in cap spending, I think it's this year, because there's going to be some value to be had. Like we talked about Bud Dupree coming off injury with the Steelers, Judon's, Ngakoue. The Jets are going to have a chance to get somebody in free agency, and that's going to affect how the draft is. You know, so to me, everything starts with the quarterback. You get that situation, because then the conversation is going to shift to, if the Jets get a Watson, that means they're going to be more free agency heavy, especially because Watson only counts like, I think, 13 or 14 million against the cap this year. So they're probably going to shift that dynamic like that. If they keep Sam Darnold, then they're going to take all this draft capital and build up around him and just spend that money, right? And if it's Wilson, I think they're going to do the same thing. To me, the Jets, to me personally, I love Deshaun Watson. You got to go Sam Darnold or a drafted quarterback. You just got it. It's too attractive. It's too attractive to not go with a drafted quarterback or stay with Sam Darnold, because you then all those picks that you got and all that money that you have could be used into building those two guys up, as opposed to when bringing Watson in is a lot of capital and you have a lot of holes and a lot of depth that's not going to be filled, and you'll be a better team to start and you'll bring veterans and stuff. It could still work out perfectly fine. But I just think it's so attractive to start over with a new quarterback, new system, new coordinator, new everything, and then just build around these people, or to stick again with Sam Darnold. He's already been here. He's already in the building, 4-year pro. You're hoping that the coaching can come in here, do some things for him, and, you know, but I don't want to protect the quarterback anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of Sanchez. I love Pennington to death. There's just certain things that he couldn't do. The last quarterback that I saw in a New York Jets uniform that could do whatever he wanted to do, okay, was Brett Favre before he got hurt. Before he got hurt, he was like, it was so fun to watch him play for the Jets, because you finally felt like, and we were winning. We were winning games too, okay? And if he didn't get hurt, we would have went to the playoffs. I have no doubt about that. Rex Ryan may not have got hired. Mangini may not have gotten fired if Brett Favre didn't get hurt. I think there's a way we get into the playoffs there, and, you know, and you never know. Testaverde, before that. Testaverde was the last time you felt confident that he can make any throw on the field and bring you back into the game. There were spurts of it for Ryan Fitzpatrick, spurts, where when he gets locked in, he just gets into like a real awesome rhythm. But he made so many mistakes, and we went on actual losing streaks because of him. So it's hard to throw him in there. So it's been tough. And I know the 8-3, I was watching the Broncos game, bro, and I was in corrections at the time, and an inmate had swallowed a sprinkler head. And so like he was having issues on the way out, you know, it was cutting him up. So he had to have some surgery. And so he was there. And I was watching the game on TV. And when he got hurt, and then I was like, dude, I was like, you got to pull this guy. And Mangini just didn't have it in him. He just didn't have the cachet to sit him down. I mean, I would rather have seen Kellen Clemens, to be honest with you, at that point. I mean, Brett was really bad once he got hurt. And so it's tough. And then you have some guys in here, Ken O'Brien, Brownie Nagel. Now you're talking about when I was like just born or before I was born. I mean, you're talking about 35 years now, guys. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, the Buffalo Bills had Jim Kelly. The Buffalo Bills had my Magic Man, Flutie, the Miracle Man. You know, like the Dolphins had Marino. You know, it's like Peyton was here for a while. You know, we had all these different quarterbacks come through our division and always be better than the Jets. You know, except for a few couple years here and there that we hold so dearly to. But you ask anybody about the Jet teams that we remember, and they're like, who? You're like, yeah, you know, Vinny Testaverde, Curtis Martin, you know what I mean? Lavernius Coles, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, bro, I remember that team. They were great. You're like, they don't remember that team. You know why? Because John Elway won his second Super Bowl, you know? And so it was one of those things where it was like, nobody remembers that, dude. We would have won the Super Bowl that year if we would have got we already beat the Falcons earlier in that year. I don't want to get into that. That's going to start getting me upset. But, the fact is, this team has so many different holes that they need to attack. Cornerback is another issue that we spoke about. Some people didn't want Richard Sherman. I'll take Richard Sherman all day.
All day.
He's going to teach these young guys exactly what Saleh wants: foot placement, hip rotation, what he wants them to tack the ball, all these different things. He's going to say what Saleh is looking for, what he wants, and I love that because anytime I've watched our football team have success from a coach coming from another team, it's when they're bringing some of their guys over. You have to do that. You have to have them translate the message. And this New York Jets team is super raw, especially on the defense. I mean, everywhere. There's young guys everywhere. Cornerback, defensive line, linebacker. There's young guys all over the place that need to be coached up, not just by the coaches, but also the people who are in the game itself. You know, the coaches can say whatever they want, but when Richard sees, you know, something that you're doing that he could correct in game as a leader back there, I think that could be super important. So I don't know if the Jets go there with that, but we talked about Blair. I think it was Herder. We spoke about Sherman. So there's a few guys on that 49ers team that we might get. Then we spoke about Judon. That's a possibility, either him or Ngakoue. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to tag or sign Ngakoue because they traded for him. So Judon might be an expense there. Bud Dupree, Tinsley at center. We talked about Mike Davis at running back, how he could do a little bit of everything if you want to save some money, right? You could bring him in at the running back position. He instantly upgrades your running back room. He could do a little bit of everything, like I said, and I really enjoy watching him play football this year, to be honest. Or you can go and make a big home run splash, bringing in, if Aaron Jones doesn't get tagged, bringing in Aaron Jones, fix your center position. You could draft Sewell, move Becton or Sewell to the right side, and just run the ball with Aaron Jones, protect Sam Darnold, you know, or your drafted quarterback. I mean, and here's Christian, perfect, Christian. What do you think about Mosley? I was actually going to write. See, now I got to give it away. But I was actually going to write something next week about Mosley and then talk about him on the show because he's a guy that people have forgotten about for good reason. He hasn't been around. But he's coming back. And from all indications, we don't know 100%, but it looks like he's going to play. He's already adopted the mantra of Saleh, posting something on Twitter or whatever. And so I think he's ready to go. And let me tell you something. It's not like, yeah, he's 2 years older or whatever, but it's not like 2 years of wear. I mean, he literally sat out last year and he rehabbed that injury that he had the first year. So he's already back from all of that kind of stuff. He's a really good linebacker. He's super smart, super talented.
He can cover.
And he could cover. And then here's another thing, right? You could bring back Neville Hewitt if you're bringing a guy like that back. If you're bringing a guy like Mosey Black, you could bring a guy like Neville Hewitt, who is a absolute tackling machine and a motor monster, and he would pair great because, you know, you could extend a guy like Mosey because he's more talented, he's more skill set player, and then you could let Hewitt do all the dog stuff that he's been doing for the Jets. And I just think that'd be a good tandem. And then you go out and you get somebody on the outside to rush the passer. And then you have the interior of the line with Quinnen Williams and all those young rotational pieces that we spoke about, Phillips, Jonathan Franklin,
It could get dangerous.
all these guys. It could be very, very dangerous, and it could be very good. And here's the thing: we spoke about you can't fix Rome in a day, right? So this is how you put a piece of wood on it or whatever. Is that if you're able to get a solid pass rusher on that side, Mosley comes back somewhat to form. Then if you're getting that pass rush, you don't need elite corners, because if you could get enough pressure up front, you make the job on the back end a little bit easier, and you can kind of make that maybe a really strong point the following year, right? Because you're not going to be able to get top talent at every single position, even with the draft picks you have, and fix the Jets all in 1 year. If the Jets get fixed in 1 year, it's just because they've done a phenomenal job and it's all clicked. And sometimes that happens. It really does. I've seen teams like that. All of my favorite teams have had a year where just things kind of come together. You weren't expecting them to do as good as they were going to do, but it just clicks. Maybe they have something like that, but they're most likely they bring in a veteran cornerback to the likes of Sherman, and they stick and ride out with Bryce Hall, bless Austin. They probably draft a guy. They probably bring in another kind of veteran to compete in camp and preseason, all that kind of stuff. And then they probably get a pass rushing outside linebacker to replace Jenkins. And I think they actually get a legit pass rusher this time, like no doubt, hands down. And then they probably make small upgrades on the defensive line, right? They probably go heavy at wide receiver. They probably bring in a receiver. They probably bring in a new quarterback, and they probably bring in a new running back. And they probably bring in a new center, and they probably bring in at least one guard. And so those are the things that I really think they go after. Vincenzo said he wants Tooney at left guard and draft Wyatt Davis at pick 22 to play guard. Problem solved. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Wyatt Davis, I wouldn't mind maybe at that pick. I'm not going double offensive line, bro. Just say that's not going to happen for me. Like we're not going to do those types of things out here, okay? Like this is an important draft for the Jets. They got to get a skill position piece to me. It's got to be a quarterback right there. If not, just trade down. Like just trade down. Trade it. If you're not going to get a quarterback at 2, trade down. Dude, you're going to get a nice little haul. And that's another thing. If you keep Sam Darnold, you trade down. You trade down. If you keep Sam Darnold, you trade down. You trade down because you're still going to get a player that you want. Like let's say you want an offensive weapon, right? You trade out of the 2 pick. You pick up extra picks, and then you draft Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts. So you get another weapon if you don't want Herndon, or if you don't want to give him another shot. He's supposed to be like the next coming of the big tight end, Kyle Pitts or whatever. I don't believe in these guys. First of all, Kyle Brady ruined me forever when it comes to tight ends. I'll never believe in another tight end again until they show me. You got to show me. I'm tired of this pain. I'm tired of this pain week in and week out. Show me. I'm tired of talking. Oh, he's going to be great. Wait until we get this. Wait until he comes. Wait. No, I'm tired of waiting. Play and play well, okay? Because I'm wasting my good money and my good time. I could be hanging out with my damn family. So show me something. So that is my motto for Jets Guru going into next year. Show me. I don't care what you can. Oh, he's this. He's got that. Oh, it's this guy. It's always somebody else. We're always pointing fingers, right? We're always, he didn't play well because of this. Oh, he didn't play well because of that. How about he didn't play well because he didn't play well? All right, because I want to see some good play out of these players next year, okay? And that's number one. So, we're not going to be able to fix everything, but we're going to be able to do some things, and I think they're going to be smart about it. I really do. I just like all the moves that Joe Douglas has made as being a Jets GM. Literally, and I'm going low here, 80% of the moves that Joe Douglas made I like. Because I honestly think that Brashard Perryman could have been like an 800-yard receiver at least this year. This offense was awful. They did not use him well. And this is why everyone was getting on Robbie Anderson. And I said, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. Robbie Anderson is a better receiver. They're not using him correctly. You have a speedster. You got to let these guys run under the ball. There's risk that is involved with everything. But people, I said this to someone before. I said, how do you expect Sam Darnold to throw a good deep ball if he never throws a deep ball? And they were like, oh, well, he's in practice. This is what someone said to me. In practice, they work together all the time. I said, there is a level of intensity that is unspeakable when it's compared to practice against your own players in a drill than it is in a real game with guys coming to really physically hurt you. Not to mention they're covering you in such a fashion that they don't cover you like that in individual drills and practice. Okay? You gotta actually practice throwing the ball down the field. As a quarterback, you have to get your measuring right, your footwork, your timing. When you listen to Steve Young talk about football and the mechanics of throwing the football, these things have to happen. How would you ever really be a good deep throw baller, a good passer of the ball down the field if you never practice it? That you don't pick up those nuances in between. How would Sam be able to throw the ball in windy conditions in the snow if he never throws the ball in windy conditions in the snow? If I can apply that, I can apply that to just the deep ball in general without the use of outside, inclement weather conditions. I could just say that he just doesn't get enough practice in games throwing the ball down the field. He needs more work. He needs to take more chances. But how can you? How can you take more chances as a quarterback in your fourth year? Because when you take chances as a quarterback in your fourth year, what happens? You get benched, you get cut, you don't get your option picked up, and now you're a backup. Now you have to fight your way. If that, you got to fight your way back up. So do this young man a favor, okay? Because he is only 23 and he seems like he's a nice kid. Get him somewhere where they're going to sit him or they're going to work with him and the expectations are going to be lower. This has less to do with what Sam Darnold's going to be than what it does with the whole situation, cap-wise, placement, new coaching staff, the fact that you're not going to be able to pick next year in the same position. All of this stuff comes together. And I think for both parties, it would work so much better if they separated. It just really would. Because they've done him a disservice, and honestly, he's falling apart. And there's just too much expectation. So for me, it's really, really tough. It's really, really tough. And Kyle, Robbie is a great player for a bad team. Robbie also, let's be honest here, Teddy Bridgewater did a good job last year. He spread the ball around, okay? There is like two receivers other than Robbie Anderson on the Panthers that actually got touches too. You look at Robbie's stats. I mean, what is he at? Like close to 90 catches, if not 90 catches. He's got 1,000 yards. And they're like, oh, well, he doesn't have all the TDs. Well, it's tough because, he takes you're playing with Christian McCaffrey, first of all. Okay, so that's going to take touchdowns away from you because anytime you're in a position, unless it's going to be a big play where you catch it and break away from the cornerback, that's the only time you're really going to be getting touchdowns. Teddy doesn't have that arm to really push the ball down the field. So a lot of times when Robbie was catching footballs, they weren't in routes that take advantage of his skill set. And that is what impressed me about Robbie Anderson, not only with his time with the Panthers, but with the Jets, because I started seeing him get better at the route running tree. And so when you looked at him with the Panthers, it wasn't always just deep balls down the field. He was running all sorts of routes. I mean, you look at his stats and you just those are your Jet stats right there. He's got 95 catches on 136 targets. Does that tell you that he's just necessarily a deep ball player? No. Look at his yards per average, okay? 11.5, which is the lowest of his career, the lowest. Yet he has more output than he has in any point in time than he did was this year. And so you could see that his route running is getting better as a football player. He's becoming a more polished receiver. And here's another thing. It was a damning decision here. Joe Douglas admitted it. He admitted it in his press conference when it looked like Adam Gase was going to get fired and everyone was like, where the hell is Joe Douglas? And Joe Douglas came out and he had a press conference. He admitted it. He goes, with Robbie, we messed up there. We should have retained his services. We thought we could have had him at a good price, and we didn't get the price that we wanted, and he went with his old coach. And you know what? It was a good decision for Robbie Anderson. It was probably a career-changing decision for him. And I'm happy for him, because he came from nothing and he worked his way up, and people can make fun of him all they want about how he speaks and whatever and how he talks, but all the guy does is keep getting better and better each and every year, and I salute that guy. Keep getting better at life and at receiving. And so, like, the way I look at it, and I seriously do, the Jets are not in a position, and we spoke about this, Ramon, last week, of replacing talent. That's one thing we don't want to see in this offseason is replacing talent with similar talent, okay? Especially when you got to pay them additional years as well. We want to add talent to this roster, okay? Not replace it because you're wasting moves and you're wasting money. And so before we get going, Ramon, what are some final thoughts that you have on this offseason, pre-offseason, because it hasn't started yet, about what you want to see and what you expect them to do?
I want Joe Douglas to go in. And I know I'm not saying draft Devontae Smith, but I do want Joe Douglas to go in because everybody's talking about, oh, Denzel Mims is our guy. He's our guy, right? We said the same thing about Sam, and I'm not saying that it's the same situation, but we need to go into this offseason and go into free agency and go into the draft thinking we need a number one wide receiver. That like not replacing talent is like perfect because Jets fans are like, oh, well, Mims can be our guy. Okay, well, let's go look at the Tampa Bay Bucks. And is Mike Evans a number one wide receiver? I think he is, right? Is Chris Godwin a number one wide receiver? I think he is, right? Is Antonio Brown a number one wide receiver?
Yep.
Why not have as many weapons as you can? If Antonio Brown was out, did we know? No, we didn't really know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, did he do great when he came in? Of course, in the Super Bowl, amazing route runner. But my point is, we want as much talent as we can. Like you said, we're not trying to replace people. If I can bring back Ty Johnson for a good dollar, and put him at 2 or 3 or wherever you want to have him at, and we can bring in Najee Harris, stack him up. You know what I mean? Stack him up because we've seen production from a guy like Ty Johnson. Stack him up if you can do it at every position. I think, except, quarterback, you want a solid backup, but if we can bring back Joe Flacco, I'm cool with Joe Flacco and Zach or Justin. Because I will say one thing, I don't like Justin Fields, but that kid can put the ball on the money when it goes deep. He can put it on the money. His deep ball is amazing. I think it's underrated, to be completely honest. That's my thing. Just stacking up talent, man. I think obviously tagging Marcus May is huge, and C.J. Mosley. If you don't remember what he looks like when he's healthy, right before he pulled his groin, go watch the play when he pulled his groin against the Bills. Go watch him. He was one-on-one man coverage with I want to say it was a wide receiver, stride for stride in the back of the end zone, about 40 yards away. Stride for stride. That guy he's serious. And like you said, he's got 2 years of rest. So guys, we're going to be good next year. I want you guys. No, we're not going to be great. We're not going to be great. We're going to be good though. The team is what I want to see. This is the last thing I'm going to say. What I want to see is remember the Dolphins not last year that just passed, the year before, right? They were taking chances. It was a game where I think they went for 2. They didn't want to go into overtime, and they hadn't won a game all year, but the fans were excited. Everybody was yelling, and when they lost, it was okay. Nobody expects them to win. So please take it easy on Robert and staff and Joe Douglas, because as long as we don't look as horrible as we did, where it looks like we're throwing in the white flag in week 1 and we're actually making progressions, we actually are making good plays. It looks like they're giving effort. We have a buy-in, because I don't think Robert is the type of guy to lose a locker room, if you ask me. Stick with it. We got to stay the course. It is a process. In Joe Douglas, we trust. At Guru Jets on Twitter, and I'm gonna hand it back over to Dan.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's just really important for this team to 100% focus on adding to this team and not replacing. Like, yes, and people were arguing with me like about the slot receiver with Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder has the same stats as Schuster and Samuels from that spot over the last 2 years. And last time I checked, Crowder played on one of the worst football teams in the league last year. And so, yeah, his numbers are going to take a little bit of a dip. But when you look at what he's able to do the last 2 years with the Jets, considering what he's had to play with and no protection on the outside, everyone knows whose favorite target was, and he still was able to show up when called upon. Imagine when we can have more single coverage with just a backer on him and then not zoning out and shutting down, Crowder over the middle. Or trying to leak out to the outside and shutting him down and giving Sam Darnold a hard time. Why replace? Why sign Samuels? Why sign Schuster for more money to pay him to play the same position as Crowder, and Crowder only has a year left on his deal. You let Crowder ride out, and you get an outside receiver to complement your team. So now instead of having Samuels and Mims and some guy on the outside or some veteran, now you might have some stud on the outside. You have Crowder, who you know is a very good slot receiver, and then you have Mims on the outside, and you can go ahead and focus on finding another slot receiver for lesser money or whatever that fits the following year, because it's not a need. Why are we needing to replace guys that it doesn't make any sense? Why do we need to replace Jamison Crowder? Why do we need to replace Fant at right tackle? We're looking too far outside. These are needs that we're talking about 12, 13 on the team. You know, we don't need another right tackle. We don't need to waste a high pick on a right tackle. We don't need to waste a high pick on those types of things. We need to fix holes. We need a new center. We need a new guard. We need an outside receiver. We need a starting number one corner. We need an outside pass rusher. We need a legit running back situation. You know, like these are things that we need to talk about other than right tackle and other, you know, it's just, it just gets to the point where, like, again, we can't fix Rome in a day. This is going to be a 2 to 3 year process, depending on who's playing quarterback for you. That matters too. And I just think that you have to believe in what they're trying to put together. And that starts with adding talent, not replacing with similar numbers because it looks good or because the Jets made a flashy signing. It's like, I want substance here with this team. I want him to bring over people from the 49ers so he can translate his message. I want him to go after a legit pass rusher because obviously that's what's been missing from the Jets since John Abraham days when he was paired with Sean Ellis practically. I want to see some danger on the corners. I want the quarterbacks to feel what Sam Darnold and all these other Jet quarterbacks have felt all these years that I had to watch. Let's put some pressure on these boys, you know, because I think if we do that with Salah's personality is just everyone's going to fall in love with them, because if the Jets defense is aggressive and they're getting sacks and this guy's pumped up and he's throwing players around, I mean, we're going to get pumped up. You know, I'm almost getting pumped up just talking about it right now. Nothing's even happened yet. So I'm just, you know, that's just how we are as Jet fans. And so I think that they need to do a good job, and I know they will, at bringing in talent, not removing it and not replacing it with similar talent, but adding to the pieces on this team. Because, you know, Kevin from Live Rounds made a good point when we do our Jets Guru audio podcast on the weekends. And he mentioned this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. He said, you know, like when Parcells and all these different people came over, you know, even, you know, Rex Ryan, there was already pieces on this roster that led to them having success in the future. Like, you know, Darrelle Revis was on that roster already when he came over. Like, it just took to the next level. So we don't know which Jet players are going to go to the next level once Salah gets in there. We don't know if Quinnen Williams becomes an Aaron Donald dominant type of player in this system. We don't know what these guys are going to be like until they get in the building. And so it's hard to really accurately predict the team right now. Obviously, we just try our best to inform you with all the information that we're able to pull together. And we appreciate all the support that you guys give us each and every week. The only thing that I would ask you guys to do that could really help out is share this video. We don't curse. We don't talk politics. We don't care who you vote for. This is for all New York Jet fans. Whatever you believe in, we just bleed green. And that's what we do here on this page. And so please support us. Please like us on YouTube. Let's get that YouTube following up. And we can get some of these numbers up. We can start getting money. We can start getting sponsorships and different things like that, which will add to the quality of the show. As you see, we have a new look on our page. That's thanks to JR, who's our new producer over the last few months. He's joined us and gave us a nice professional look and feel to the show. We want to keep it going, take it to the next level for you guys. So please keep supporting. Please keep rooting for your Jets. Don't be too pessimistic. Again, we're closer to getting it right than we are at failing. I think the worst has already came, and we're moving forward in a positive direction. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Have a great night. Jets Guru. Peace.